You're not gonna believe this, but I've seen people swap fuel pumps, replace throttle bodies, even drop thousands rebuilding their transmission. And the whole time? It was just a dirty little sensor causing all the chaos, the mass airflow sensor. In fact, a lab study at the SAR International Congress confirmed that a contaminated or failing MAF sensor causes inaccurate airflow readings, leading to serious drivability issues like stalling, hesitation, or bogging. I had a guy ready to scrap his car because it stalled at every red light. A $12 can of cleaner in 10 minutes later thing ran like it just rolled off the lot. If your engine's acting weird, surging, bogging, or throwing codes like bingo balls, you might be chasing the wrong fix. Stick around, cause I'm breaking down 11 real-world symptoms that scream MAF sensor. Subscribe if you're into saving money and fixing your car the smart way. Let's dive in. How a MAF sensor works. Quick refresher, the mass airflow sensor measures how much air is entering your engine. The ECU uses that info to calculate how much fuel to inject. If the MAF sensor sends bad data, too much or too little, the fuel mixture goes nuts. That's when your engine starts misfiring, stalling, running rich, or throwing codes. Alright, let's break down the signs your MAF's gone rogue. Symptom number 1, rough idle. You ever sit at a red light and feel your engine doing a little dance like it's got ants in its pants? That jittery, uneven, almost sputtering behavior with the RPM bouncing all over, that's classic rough idle. I've seen cars shake so bad at stoplights, you'd think the ECU was calling for help. Most folks assume it's a major mechanical issue, but often it's just bad airflow readings throwing off the idle speed. When the sensor feeds the wrong data, your fuel mixture gets messed up, causing the car to surge, hesitate, or even stall. It's like giving the engine too much coffee, everything turns erratic, low, and flat out inconsistent. Symptom number 2, poor fuel economy. I've had customers swear someone was siphoning gas, but nope, just a bad MAF sensor. When it fails, the ECU dumps extra fuel like it's free, tanking your MPG. The needle drops fast, and the airflow readings get skewed, running the mixture rich. Injectors can overspray, and the combustion balance between throttle and fuel ratio goes out the window. Even if it feels normal, your economy is wrecked. It's not just a little drop, it's a flood. Symptom number 3, hesitation or bogging on acceleration. Ever hit the gas and feel like your car needs a second to make up its mind? That annoying hesitation, or what we call bogging, usually happens when the sensor is sending a weak signal to the ECU. The throttle opens, but the engine doesn't respond right away, like it's ignoring the command. You'll feel a delay, maybe even a little jerk, as the airflow input stumbles. I've seen cars with a noticeable flat spot in power right where the torque should kick in. It's laggy, sluggish, sometimes feels like a misfire or sudden RPM surge. That bad air, mass reading throws off your acceleration and leaves the whole system guessing. Think it's bad already? Wait till your car starts throwing codes like it's playing bingo. Symptom number 4, check engine light/trouble codes. You ever get that dreaded CEL, check engine light, and think, great, here we go again? Plug in a scanner and boom, there it is, P0101. That's your MAF sensor throwing a fit. You might also see P0171 or P0172, which point to air/fuel mixture issues, too lean, too rich, take your pick. These DTCs, diagnostic trouble codes, pop up when your ECU sees something funky in the combustion process. Maybe the oxygen readings are off. Maybe the airflow doesn't match the fuel. The system tries to adjust, but ends up tossing error signals like candy. If your emissions monitor is acting up or fuel ratio feels weird, bet on that mass airflow sensor. Symptom number 5, engine jerking or surging while driving. You're just cruising along, steady speed, no drama, then bam. A sudden jerking motion like someone yanked your drivetrain. That's classic surge or shake from an uneven air-fuel mixture, and 9 times out of 10, the sensor is the culprit. The ECU gets thrown off by bad airflow, causing weird inconsistency in power delivery. 1 second you've got normal acceleration, the next it's a stumble, maybe even a full-on bog. That delay before the engine kicks back in? You're not crazy. It could feel like a pull or like you're riding a roller coaster made of misfire and regret. It's not always the throttle, sometimes it's that sneaky mass airflow sensor messing with your drive. Still not convinced it's the MAF? Alright, this next one gets dirty, literally. Quick heads up, if you've heard a single symptom so far that matches your car, hit that subscribe button now. I've got more fix-it tips coming that'll save you cash and headache. Alright, let's get dirty with this next one. Symptom number 6, black smoke from exhaust. See black smoke puffing out your tailpipe like a diesel truck in limp mode? That's your engine running way too rich, usually thanks to a dirty or dying MAF sensor. The injectors go nuts, dumping in way more fuel than the airflow can handle. So you end up with unburnt gas, a nasty smell, and burnt carbon caking up your exhaust system. The whole combustion process gets sloppy. That soot buildup? It's not just ugly, it wrecks your emissions and chokes out your oxygen sensors. I've seen guys replace half the throttle system before realizing it was just overfueling from a confused sensor. If your mixture is off, that burn gets real dirty, real quick. Symptom number 7, hard starting or no start. Ever try to start your engine on a cold morning, only to crank it forever with nothing but frustration? That's a textbook hard start or full no start, and the MAF sensor might be the hidden troublemaker. If it's not sending the right airflow data to the ECU, the fuel mixture gets thrown way off. The injectors don't know what to spray, and the combustion just doesn't happen right. You might get a little cough, maybe a stall, or it'll die right after ignition. I've seen cases where it looked like a misfire, but it was really a bad signal from a failed sensor. That slight delay before the engine chokes out? Pure airflow reading failure. Hard starts are bad, but stalling in traffic? That's when it gets dangerous. Symptom number 8, stalling at stops or underload. You're pulling up to a red light, sitting in traffic, and bam, the engine just shuts down like it clocked out early. That kind of stalling at stops or underload is a classic sign of a MAF sensor that's feeding bad airflow info to the ECU. I've seen engines bog, surge, and cut out because the signal got too inconsistent to manage idle control. The mixture gets thrown off, the throttle can't recover, and boom, dead engine. It might even seem like a fuel failure or power issue, but really, it's just one dumb sensor misread. You feel that hesitation, that drop in RPM, and before you know it, your car's taking a nap. Symptom number 9, RPMs fluctuate at idle or under throttle. Ever watch your needle bounce around while sitting still? You're not imagining it, those weird RPM swings at idle or under light throttle are a dead giveaway. The engine starts to hunt, rev, shake, and surge like it's got a personality disorder. Usually, it's a sketchy sensor feeding bad airflow numbers to the ECU, throwing off mixture and fuel control. You get inconsistency, poor idle control, and even light hesitation. I've seen it happen when there's a slight vacuum leak, but more often it's a dirty mass sensor misreading the air. Too rich, too lean, the balance goes out the window, and your engine starts playing paddleball with your signal. Now here's one that fools even experienced drivers, because it feels like your transmission's dying. Symptom number 10, strange shifting on automatics. You ever feel your automatic transmission shifting like it's guessing what to do next? Feels rough, maybe a delayed kickdown, or the gear change just isn't right. People freak out thinking the tranny is toast, but I've seen it's often the MAF sensor feeding bad airflow data to the ECU. That throws off shift timing, especially when the engine isn't delivering consistent torque. Add in some hesitation, maybe a bogging stumble under throttle, and suddenly the whole thing feels off. It's not always the transmission, it's just bad input messing with control. If the RPM and power delivery are all over the place, your shifts will be too. Symptom number 11, sulfur or rotten egg smell from exhaust. You ever catch a nasty rotten egg smell from your exhaust and wonder if something died back there? That's the sulfur stink of a catalytic converter getting cooked from too much fuel, usually because your MAF sensor is dumping a rich mixture into the engine. All that overfueling leads to unburnt gas, dirty combustion, and a total overload on your converter. The oxygen sensors can't keep up, and before long, your emissions are out of whack. I've had drivers think it's bad gas, but nope, it's just that sneaky sensor causing a slow burn failure. When air and fuel aren't balanced, the whole system turns stinky real quick. Bonus tip: weird idle only when cold? Some MAF sensors only act up during cold starts. Once the engine warms up, the symptoms fade. That's why people think it's a one-off glitch. But that cold start hesitation or rough idle? Could be your MAF sensor misreading until it stabilizes. Final thoughts. So there you have it, 11 bad signs your mass airflow (MAF) sensor might be throwing your engine for a loop. From rough idling to rotten egg smells, these symptoms might seem random, but they all trace back to one tiny part with a huge job. And the crazy part? I've seen drivers replace fuel pumps, O2 sensors, even entire transmissions, when it was just a dirty or dying MAF sensor all along. Before you spend a dime, check the symptoms, scan for codes, and maybe even try cleaning the sensor. A $10 can of MAF cleaner could save you $1,000 in guesswork. If this video helped, hit that like button, subscribe for more real-world car fixes, and I'll catch you in the next one. Drive smart.